Hello and welcome to Magnetic Marketing. This is Lexi Forbes, and I'm very excited about this podcast. This is our first episode. This show is going to be all about using your birth chart astrology to help you attract clients that you love to work with. Because when you are an intuitive, spiritual entrepreneur, you are someone who you don't just want any kind of client, you don't want just any kind of money. You want to work with people that you feel in alignment with, and you want money that feels good to have. And so we are going to use astrology to help you understand yourself better and understand your own unique marketing strategy. So that way you're attracting people that really feel in alignment with your values, in alignment with your skill set, and all of that. So first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pre-warn you guys. I am recording this in my living room because my husband, which I'm very excited to be able to say that I'm newly married, my husband is using the office. And so what that means is that my babies, which are my dogs, Katie and Cameron, are right next to me. They are currently sleeping, which I feel very, very lucky to be able to have that quiet moment. But if you hear some crying or if you hear some barking in the background, that would probably be my dog Cameron, who we affectionately call Cammy. And he sometimes is very vocal. He's a golden doodle. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably met him a couple of times. He's very vocal. So I will try to keep him entertained and quiet, but even now I can see he's looking at me with that mischievous look on his face, like, I'm gonna say something, Mom. So hopefully we can get through this episode. So anyways, first, let's talk about the week ahead, and because that's what today's episode is going to be about. I want to offer this on a weekly basis. I typically do this in my stories. This is where it started, was I would talk about where the moon was each day to help you understand more of why you behave the way that you do, as well as help you to navigate how to show up, and what you can offer your audience based off of where the moon is. But as I've evolved as an astrologer and I've learned more about transits and how they move and the relationship between each of the planets, I've now moved into talking about other planets as well and their transits and how they impact you emotionally, as well as your clients' emotional needs and your unique marketing strategy based off of where things are. So this podcast, what I plan to do is every week at least do one episode dedicated to the weekly transits, but then also infuse some of just more episodes talking more about breaking down your birth chart to help you understand your marketing strategy. So there's going to probably be like 2 episodes a week or so. Sometimes there might be more, because that's the beauty in this platform, is that I can provide as many podcasts as I want or as little as I need. But I just want to set the expectation so that way you guys know, oh, okay, I'm at least going to get the weekly transits so I can plan my week. And so let's first talk about how to use this calendar. What is the significance in the transits? So when the moon and all the other planets are moving, we call them transits because they're transitioning from one place to another. What that tends to do for us is it allows us to grow and evolve in our emotions, and it helps us to be able to, I guess, understand ourselves and understand why we behave a certain way because of the planetary movements. And so one of the ways that I use the calendar is I look at where is everything, where's the moon and what relationship is it having with, one of the other planets, or what house is it in when it's in relationship to my particular birth chart. And then what can I expect based off of that placement? So then I can look at, well, how is this going to impact my business? How is this going to impact the needs of my client? And how is this going to impact my own emotions and what I'm going to need in order for me to move through life? And so based off of that, I then create content coming based off of what I see. So if I know that the moon is going to be in Capricorn, then I know that this is going to be a perfect day for me to focus on my business and focus on helping other people with their business, because Capricorn energy rules over business and entrepreneurship. That I know that if I focus on that today in my content, in helping people understand their business, and their relations, their emotional needs in regards to their business, I'm going to have a higher chance of engagement, because people are going to go, wow, this person sees me. This really resonates with me. And it's because I'm connecting to their relationship with the moon's energy at this current moment, which right now the moon is in Capricorn. So what that's how I actually use how I use this in particular, and how I want to encourage you to do it too. You can certainly keep coming back to the episodes so you can know what to expect each week and keep listening to them. Or you can follow me on Instagram at instagram.com/sacred social studio. I'll have the links as well down below in the description, but that way you can actually see my carousel posts and see exactly what to expect. You can save it and then come back to it each day. And if you want a personal reading, then you can always just click the link down in the description to book your own session so we can see what's actually going to be coming up for you in your life and in your business. So let's start with January 27th, which is today. The moon is currently in the lovely, wonderful, perfect sign of Capricorn. Do you know what sign I am? I am a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising, Capricorn Venus, Capricorn Neptune. I'm a Capricorn stellium, which means that I have more than 3 signs in the sign of Capricorn. I have a lot of Capricorn energy in me. So even though I'm not a Capricorn moon, when the moon is in Capricorn, there's a stability and a confidence that I tend to feel, just because it's rubbing up against all the rest of my planets. It's rubbing up against my Venus, my Neptune, my sun. And so it gives me this sense of confidence. That's how it's showing up in my personal birth chart. But for you, when the moon is in the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn is a earth sign energy. So it is very focused on grounding itself in information, in facts, in knowledge, in truth and authenticity. So that's what your clients are currently looking for right now on the internet, on Instagram, in your business. They want to know that you are authentic, and what makes you authentic. So in your content, some of the ideas that you can come up with or focus on is maybe talk about why you started your business. What inspired you? What problem inspired you to be like, I want to solve that for people. I want to show up for people in this way. And because we're soon going to have the new moon in Aquarius, as well as Mercury moving into Aquarius, which we'll talk about next, there's going to be a heavy shift and focus in people's minds to community centered conversations where they're thinking about the world as a whole and not just them as the individual. Even though Capricorn energy is very, very focused on the self rather than the identity of all, at the end of the day, people are going to start thinking about, once the moon moves into the new moon in Aquarius, which will be the very next day, that's going to be Tuesday, January 28th, what we're going to see is people's energy is going to start to shift into, how do I show up inside of my community? What is my unique value add? So when we're talking about the new moon and Capricorn, one of the ways that you can show up in your business and in your content is showing them what makes you unique inside of this community. What makes you special? What is the problem that you love to solve? And then remind people that it's something that you actually do solve. This means that you got to sell. You have to be able to invite people to work with you. So start off this week by saying, like, this is the story of my business, right? This is how we came to be. This is what inspired me. And I love to work with people who need help with this particular thing. Please book a call with me, book 15 minutes with me, whatever, jump into my DMs, whatever your invitation is. This is the day to set that invitation out, send that invitation out there so you can begin to not just make money, but also work with people and use your skill set and help other people. Now we move to January 28th. where the moon, for the most part, until about 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, will be in the sign of Capricorn, but it'll start to shift over and transit over into new moon energy in Aquarius, which means now the moon is in a different sign, a different zodiac sign. And because it's a new moon, this is a new cycle that's starting to begin that will continue for the next 6 months. And this is related to the issues of the Aquarius energy, which is all about community, which is all about our the things that matter to us as a group. This also is the groups that you belong into, the friendships that you have, and the friends that you've chosen. Aquarius energy deals with all of those things. And also, Aquarius loves to be unique and unconventional. It does not want to be like everyone else. It doesn't want to fit in. It wants to stand out. So for you, what new intentions can you set in your community of what you want to accomplish, what you want to manifest inside of the community over the next 6 months? And this is before the moon becomes full in Aquarius, which will happen later on in the summertime in, I believe, July or maybe August, I can't remember. But it'll happen during Leo season. That's when the full moon in Aquarius. And so the fullness of what you're trying to manifest in regards to your community is going to start to manifest then. You're setting the intention for how you want to show up, what you want to offer your community. You're setting that intention now. And so it's never been more important, to be honest. It's never been more important than now to be clear on how can you support your community? What new intentions do you want to set for your community? Do you want to start donating to causes that matter to you? Do you want to bring awareness to issues that are happening right now in this world? What I am witnessing online is there are a lot of people who are being very silent on the issues that we're facing right now in regards to this current administration, in regards to immigration and racism and anti-Semitism. I'm seeing so many people be absolutely silent. And what happens is, by them doing that, they are, by focusing on other things like the TikTok ban, or hashtags, or just whatever, what they're coming off as is tone deaf. And part of that is because we're in Aquarius season, which is all about community and caring about what's happening to the collective. And so if you're ignoring the issues that the collective is currently afraid of or facing or dealing with, you risk coming off as tone deaf. Now, that happens even more during an Aquarius sun season because people are thinking about each other. People are holding hands and saying, hey, you are safe with me. And so if you are not saying anything about who is safe in your world, it comes off as tone deaf, and that's going to be louder in this season of Aquarius. So now, with the moon also lining up with the sun, which is what makes it a new moon, is when the sun and the moon align in the same sign. Now there's this even more exaggerated energy of like, how are you impacting all of the people around you? And if you're not thinking about that, and if you're not saying anything about it, then you risk, like I said, coming off as tone deaf, losing trust with your audience. And so I know that it's scary. It is so scary to put yourself out there, to say things that people are going to get offended by, that you may even lose business over. I get it. But at the same time, if you are silent on issues that matter, not only are you contributing to the problem, but you are also creating an unsafe space for certain groups inside of your community, right? And we don't want to, at least I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that queer people, brown people, Black people, disabled people, all the people feel safe with me. I want them to know that you are safe, not only with me, but also with the people that I choose to surround myself with. So that's the question. That's what the new moon in Aquarius is asking you to think about. So think about that. Now we move on to Wednesday, January 29th, where Mercury, new moon, we're still in the new moon energy, but now Mercury is also meeting up with Pluto and the sun and the moon in the sign of Aquarius. So we're going to have a stellium in this energy. So it's going to be, we are so focused on outside energy now. We're so focused on the community. And with Mercury, Mercury is the planet that tells us where our communication, where our thoughts, where our marketing strategy should also focus. And because we're now having Mercury be conjunct Pluto, which means it's going to be right next to each other, Pluto brings a sense of new beginnings and endings to whatever sign it shows up in. We had Pluto in Capricorn for like 15 years, and now it's going to be Pluto in Aquarius for the next like 20. So this is a long transit. Wherever Pluto lands, it's going to be there for a very long time because it's very slow moving. It takes 248 years for Pluto to completely go all the way around the sun. So it takes a very long time. So with that being said, when Mercury comes next to Pluto, what we're going to experience is a transformation in how we think and an urge and a desire to dig deeper than the surface, because Pluto represents transformation. It represents endings and beginnings, but it also represents digging deep. It's not a very surface level planet. It loves to look at the taboo, the things that people are afraid to talk about. And that further expresses, especially since it's now in the planet, in the sign of Aquarius, that even further means that your audience is going to be looking for your opinion and your unique standpoint on what do you bring to the community? What makes you so special? Why should I support your business over someone else's business? Right? Why should I hire you versus someone else? And we all have unique attributes that make it easier for people to buy from us, whether it's because of the things that we believe in, the causes that we support, whether it's because of our unique skill set or our unique take on things. Right? We're all looking for like what makes someone special, and then that specialty is why I want to work with you. But I will tell you that right now with Mercury in Aquarius, by Wednesday, that energy is going to be pretty potent. People are really going to be starting to think, do I really want to align myself with this person, and why? Do I want to continue to support that business? Do I want to continue to support this membership? And if I do, what is it about this particular person or particular membership or particular networking group that I really, really love? They're starting to evaluate the groups that they are a part of and where their money is going, right? And so we'll start to see that on Wednesday, January 29th. So this is a perfect time for you to start, again, making people aware. Where do I stand? What is important to me? And how can I let that be known so my community knows where I stand on things and what they're supporting when they support me. Now let's move to Thursday, January 30th. This is when Uranus and Taurus, it's been retrograding since September 1st, and retrogrades are tough, okay? Sometimes they're good. Well, you want to say nothing is ever good or bad when it comes to astrology. It's all just, we make it mean good or bad things. But many times people tend to look at retrogrades as a bad thing. They tend to look at it as and I wouldn't say that it's bad as much as it's definitely tough. It's tough because it's causing you to rewind, to look back and to revisit things that you might have once left alone. Maybe you left it too quickly. Maybe you moved on too fast. And so retrogrades are like, hold on, wait a minute, back up. And it's inviting you to look at the themes around whatever is retrograding. And because Uranus represents sudden and unexpected changes, and retrogrades represent going backwards, and Taurus, which is the sign that it's in, represents stability and values and money. What I find interesting is that Uranus, in it moving backwards, it's like what we could have expected from this is a shift back into old values and old ways of looking at things and old things that we might have thought were stable at one point, that felt stable at one point, but we want to go back to that. And immediately I think politics. One, because Uranus is a slow moving planet, so it takes a while as well. So it's more of a generational planet than it is of a personal planet. But also I think of the fact that it's like this happens in September, and then November, we re-elect a man that his whole base is about returning to the past, returning to a value system that benefited only certain groups of people and caused harm to others. But it wasn't as a value system at one time. And now we are witnessing people return to those values. So I find that so crazy. I mean, you can't even make that up. So that's insane. But what this means when it now goes direct on Thursday, January 30th, is we can start to maybe see an unraveling there, an awareness of people coming to terms with the fact that it's like, wait a minute, so much has shifted. And now that I'm clearer on my values, because while Uranus was retrograding in the sign of values, what's important to me, I might have felt a lack of clarity and a lack of visibility on what matters to me. Now with it going direct, I'm now starting to recognize that my values have shifted, and maybe I made a mistake, and maybe I'm not showing up the way that I want to. Maybe I voted wrong. Maybe I looked at things differently than I am looking at them now. Like those kind of awarenesses start to develop around Thursday, January 30th, because Uranus is now starting to go direct in the sign of Taurus. And so part of what you can create in your business when it comes to content is things that help people to create clarity, questions that help them to find what matters to you. What, if you have like journal prompts that are related to your Reiki business or related to your human design business, and like maybe you create a piece of content that says journal prompts for manifesting generators, journal prompts for, what's the other ones, projectors and things like that. You create something that helps them to break down, what do I value? Because now people are starting to almost like wake up from the lack of clarity that they've had. And what I find interesting is currently um, Saturn, I believe, is in Pisces. And so Saturn is the planet that influences our hardships. Let me double check that because I just want to be sure that I say that before. Let me double check the current chart. I'm such an astrologer. I always have a chart available at all times. Okay, so Saturn is it's currently in Pisces. And so Pisces energy is all about our dreams. It's very whimsical and very like, it's like the air that you breathe rather than the ground that you stand on. You know what I mean? And so it's very out there. It's the water that you're swimming in, rather than the actual like shallow deep end of things. The shallow soft end, it's the deep end. And so when we have Saturn in a sign like that, and Uranus also going retrograde at the same time, what's happening is there's like this disconnect with reality and a lack of clarity as well with reality. Things don't seem like how they used to seem. So now with Uranus going direct, I'm curious to see what, again, awarenesses develop in your community, and how you can show up for them is by providing them tools that help them to break down what matters to them. Then we have January 31st and February 1st. Finally getting into February, because I feel like we've been in January for 27 years. So finally we get to February, Black History Month. I don't care what the government says. Okay, so we're going to celebrate, girl. And Friday and Saturday, the moon will be in Pisces, and it'll be slowly meeting up with Saturn in Pisces as well. So let's focus on moon in Pisces. What that means is your intuition takes a front seat, because Pisces energy rules over the intuitive self and the spiritual identity behind who you are as a human being. You start to want to go within a little bit more. And so you may notice that engagement online starts to dwindle, not just because it's the weekend, but also because people are feeling that call to go within rather than be without. And so focus your content on creating things that encourage them to dig deep into who they are, dig deep into their belief systems, into the subconscious work, and or maybe if you're like a subconscious coach or a subconscious mindset coach, create prompts that help them to uncover those things about themselves that they haven't really dealt with in the past. Sometimes when the moon is in Pisces as well, we tend to isolate, and we want to focus on what like what is our standing in the world, and like how does it not just in the world but in this, like on this planet, in this galaxy, we start to get to this like deeper questions vibe. So if you can provide journal prompts, if you can provide content that speaks to that sense of, one, you are not alone, because sometimes moon in Pisces makes us feel like we are, and two, that you matter, that you're significant, that you like remind them that they are a speck in the galaxy of life, that can be very, very validating for people on Friday and Saturday. And then finally, we have Sunday, where the energy completely shifts. We are completing that cycle now, and we're moving into Aries. And Aries energy, she is the warrior, okay? She comes out and she's like, I'm ready to fight, okay? She is ready to go. And this is the energy that we need these days, because Aries rules over war. It rules over strategy and like pulling things together, getting it together to take action and to move forward. Now, it can be a bit impulsive. So you want to be careful when the moon is in Aries, because you might feel like really aggressive and ready to go and make it happen and make people be accountable and all this stuff. But you have to be careful, because sometimes that impulsivity is not necessarily right. It's just strong. And so Aries moon energy can really ignite us. So a couple of things. One, be careful of who you're around, how you talk to people. Recognize that we just came from a very sensitive place with the moon being in Pisces. So when the moon moves into Aries, there's this like potential for people being really impacted and personally affected by the things that you say. Because also Aries honestly is very, very sensitive. People don't realize that about Aries, because she's strong, but she is still very sensitive, and she takes offense kind of easily. It'll blow up her back pretty fast, but she will take offense pretty easily. And then because she's a fire sign, she's going to ignite. Okay. She is in the fight, flight, and freeze mode. She is straight up fight. Okay. And so that means that energetically, many of us are going to be feeling that kind of energy come Sunday and Monday. And then we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next week's transits. But that's going to be Sunday, February 2nd. So, focus your energy on protecting it, as well as just being mindful. Oh, that's the other thing too. So number two, be mindful of how you come across to people, because you might be a little bit more intense and aggressive. Now you can channel that aggression into something great, because you know what? Normally on Sundays, I wouldn't encourage promotion of your services, because most people aren't looking to they're not looking for sales and stuff. But this might be a great time to channel that energy of aggression, of confidence into promoting your offers and being unapologetic about it, because Aries is unapologetic. She is who she is. And she's like, you going to take me or you going to leave me? I don't care. Figure it out. You know what I mean? That's Aries. So be bold with your call to actions, and be bold with asking for the sale. Recognize that sometimes that energy is not only needed, but it's required in order for people to take action. Some people don't like the gentle invitation. They want the straight up, like, you need this. So say that. Bring awareness to the problem that you solve. What exactly is that problem? How is it showing up in your client's life? How do you solve that? And then directly ask for the sale. Directly ask and directly invite them to work with you. So that's all I have for you guys for today's transits reading, for this week's transits reading. I would love to hear from you. So let me know in the chat or in the comments below how this has helped you. And also, if you have any ideas for any topics that you want me to discuss in the near future, then go ahead and let me know that in the chat and or down in the comments below. And I will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful day. Bye.